Welcome back to Respect the Process. I am Kelly Hunter, and I am joined by my faithful friend, who I'm very thankful for during this Thanksgiving week.
You as well,
Chris
partner.
Stewart, voice of Crimson Tide Athletics. Do you want to go first? Because
all I know is it's Iron Bowl week.
Kelly's big board went up in flames. It just combusted.
I was so appreciative of all the work and efforts you put in that last week, but it is rendered basically useless, which is so sad because it was very clear.
Rendered useless is not the first time that has been tossed in my direction.
Here we go.
Okay, what
the hell
What was
happened?
your first emotion as you wrapped Saturday night?
Real disappointment. And not just the outcome, but how we arrived at it. That was a game that was there for the taking. Way too many mistakes that prevented you from having the chance that you should have had. And it's not everything's thrown away, but the taking things out of your own control.
Taking things for granted.
Here's the thing. I don't know that it was even with that it was that. To the contrary, because that gives the implication that there was no effort and there was no desire to win. I'll go the other direction. Just reading body language after the first drive, I think there was too much panic, and the situation, what that game was going to mean, wasn't managed as well as it could have been by the players. And players normally get their feeling from the coaching staff, but I wasn't at practice. I can't say, hey, everybody was tight. And even if I was, I wouldn't tell you, okay? I'm not going to hurl either side or anybody in my position under the bus even if I thought they deserved to be. But there was just energy that was kind of negative right at the start or after the first drive that was surprising to me. Maybe a little panic after the first drive when things didn't go well. And I'm never one to go strictly off what we see on a TV shot, because you and I know how that works. We tend to draw our opinions based off of when a producer happens to cut to, or the director tends to cut to a certain shot. And there were a couple of things that I saw that, whether it was an accurate read or not, it gave the indication that there was some panic early on. And I didn't think that needed to be the case. I think if it had been a little bit lower tone over failure on that first drive, drop, pass, all of those things, I just think the result could have been better. I think you needed to have more poise than was shown across the board. Poise over panic would have, I think, given you a different result on Saturday, at least in the first half. Well,
to quote one writer, Oklahoma dismantled Alabama with a 24-3 victory. A lot of people, and I agree with this, they were outcoached, they were outplayed, and the part that gets so many of us, they were out-hustled. They felt that there was effort on the part of Oklahoma that was not there for Alabama. And I think that is what, for me, to see another team out hustling and out efforting my team is what galls me. And a lot of it, I think the one play that people direct that towards is when Jalen Milroe got picked off and he had an opportunity to push the Oklahoma player out of bounds.
And he made the soccer slide tackle attempt.
Right.
That one bothered me too. It bothered me then. As the more I saw it over the course of the week, it bothered me. That was disappointing. That was frustrating. But previous interception, which was the previous drive. Don't whiff on a block, and that one doesn't get picked off, which I'm not picking on Kobe Prentice when I say that. Those were Kobe's, in essence, that's what Kobe was saying. That pick was his fault because he didn't make a block, or the correct block, or didn't get it executed, however you want to phrase it. Point being, there's blame that can go around. Here's another one that's frustrating. If you don't make those mistakes, as frustrating as that game was, the touchdown that was wiped off the board to start the fourth quarter should have been more infuriating, because it should have been one that factored more heavily directly than it did.
Yeah, I mean,
you couldn't be upset fully about it because you had made enough mistakes yourself. Talking about Alabama, where that one wasn't as devastating a call, because everything you're going on is presumptive. There's no way you could presume with great confidence that if you score right there, that you're going to start a comeback. I can make the argument that you would have, but it only made it a 2-score game as opposed to a 1-score game or a tie ball game.
Well, we hadn't been able to get to the end zone to that point yet.
Nope.
So why the hell would anybody think that? I mean,
definitively,
and I see that.
I think it would have flipped the game. I think it would have flipped the energy. I think it would have put a little in Oklahoma, and here we go from the Alabama side of things. But you know what? We'll never know. And even if it had happened, you can't say that with 100% certainty because of the things you mentioned. You hadn't played well to that point.
Well, the second half was maddening in the sense that the drive chart: interception, pick six, punt, turnover on downs, interception. And you're going, where are the adjustments?
Well,
what have we done at halftime?
Here's the thing. We couldn't stop their run as effectively as you'd like to. There's no question you miss Deontay Lawson. When you lose a guy of that's not the only issue.
Is there
at
any
all.
Is there any
Not
word on his
there,
availability?
We won't see him Saturday, I don't think.
Okay.
Nobody's told me a thing.
Who would wear the green sticker then if Lawson doesn't? I don't know if.
Who'd wear the green sticker?
Since he has,
I think you're going to see much more
intercom.
Justin. I got you. I see what you're saying. I'm
no, it's okay. I'm just
way over my head.
No, for people think because who wears the intercom for defense was Deontay
I got
Lawson.
you.
No, never mind.
I didn't get the reference, and that's
okay.
my fault.
Don't worry.
I would. I can't answer that one at the moment.
I just was
because that would have probably switched over.
I'm sure they
in
had
Saturday's
a backup
ball
plan.
game. Yeah, there's a backup for that plan as well. I'm going back to Jalen again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think it's so much what Jalen did. I think it's some of the things that Jalen tried to do. Just talking on the offensive side. I know there's a lot you can go with on defense. I think Jalen tried to do too much. There were a bunch of times on these option reads that if he leaves the ball in Jam Miller's belly or Justice Haynes.
Going back and looking at the
with
film.
Justice was
absolutely.
banged up.
When you watch him scramble and you're like,
if you just leave it there, you get what you need yardage-wise.
you see the gap, you see him.
If you don't try to get to the edge to outrun some guys, first or second drive maybe, an early drive, you could have probably gotten something that allows you to get the first down on the next play, but instead you tried to bounce it to the edge, and they're fast enough to catch you.
They had a week off. They had time to watch the LSU game. They had time to
break down everything
and go, okay, well, watch when he breaks the edge.
Yeah, and it's also, they were a good defensive team. They didn't get any credit for being good on that side because of what the record was, but their defense had been good. They saw things that they felt like they could, and clearly they did, run the football well against Alabama. It shortened the game, even though it took forever. But I think in large measure it shortened the game. They were able to run it effectively, which gave them the opportunity to pass it on the few occasions they did a little bit more effectively as well. We didn't get the job done on either side. And that was disappointing. That was frustrating.
Well, it was a team you were supposed to beat. And then you start looking at the different factors of they have 14 guys out. They're down to non-scholarship. The quarterback had been benched, and now he's back. And this was the team that beat us. And it's like, what is our identity? What is Alabama's identity?
I'm going to give some credit on the other side briefly first before I go to the other. That's Oklahoma. Those are kids that came there to put that helmet on, put that uniform on.
Absolutely.
Some come for NIL. Most go to a place like that, just like they do Alabama, because they want to wear that uniform. That's one of the
Alabama and Oklahoma,
best.
They have a likeness in that.
Yeah, there is a grouping that when you're talking about the best ever, I don't care who you are, you're going to include those two in your group. So they've got some pride there. We saw it firsthand 20 years ago when Alabama wasn't as good, struggled for different reasons, NCAA, coaching changes, all of those things. It still was a team you had to concern yourself. Prime example, Alabama under Mike Shula his first year almost beat Oklahoma and Bob Stoops. They had to run a fake punt late, keep the football, or Alabama may get it back and have a chance to win that particular game. That's a low point Alabama team that still almost got it done then. It's flipped, different reasons, different circumstances, but they showed their pride and hammered us. And I would say, in addition, Alabama hammered themselves because of their failure to execute some stuff they should have taken care of. That wasn't necessarily Oklahoma, but it was Alabama failing. Now, the other part of your question was
the fact that they have not been able to beat teams that they were supposed to beat,
and
then
that's true.
They don't have an identity this season. And the
I
identity
agree.
seems to be, well, they're not going to be able to beat the teams they should. And now with this weekend coming, which we will talk more about in a minute, you have another team that, based on this season, you should beat.
Absolutely. And I said when I left the stadium, in fact, I said it on air before I left the stadium. I don't remember where it was, but it was during the game broadcast, or it was on the television show with Coach DeBoer. I don't know where I said it, but I know
I felt bad when y'all were trying to find highlights in that show.
Yeah, good. I felt for the producer Aaron Hepp, who has to put that together, and that's not an easy task.
That's getting blood from a stone right there.
Yeah,
good job, Aaron.
So I think that's where I made the statement that if you can't get yourself motivated this week, understand you're down, you're disappointed. But if you're wearing an Alabama uniform and you can't get yourself ready this week, then you probably need to reevaluate whether you need to wear that uniform or not. It's Auburn. Yes, the SEC championship opportunity is out the window. The national championship opportunity is not completely out the window. It's hanging on the ledge, and you don't control whether it's in your hands anymore or not. But you can certainly put yourself in the conversation, and then you become a big South Carolina fan, and I don't even know the dominoes that have to fall beyond that.
Yeah.
But there's only a couple of teams ahead of you. I know we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's Auburn. You don't need anything beyond that if you're Alabama, just like Auburn doesn't need to have bowl game eligibility as their motivation. It's Alabama. If you're in this state and you're playing in that game, that's all you need.
And what's crazy enough, as we just kind of said, round 4 of the college football playoff revealed, and it turns out the Crimson Tide, number 13. Now, 13 doesn't necessarily mean that if you move to 12, you're in because of the different way the conference champions line up and all that.
Right.
They could still make
this
field
could.
of 12. Your thoughts on it of a lot of Tide fans don't necessarily feel like they deserve a shot at getting in this 12-team playoff.
And that's because they're ticked.
They're embarrassed and they're ticked off, and do we go show our ass again?
but that's a lousy attitude to have.
Okay. Because right now, this is always hard to say. Rivalry weekend
Good job.
could provide them an opportunity to get back in this game.
No doubt.
In the and by the game, I mean the 12-team college football playoff. It's going to take some help.
Yeah.
And like you said, I did not bring my rubric or my Rosetta Stone to be able to sit here and tell you exactly what all it's going to take. Obviously, I think Indiana losing again,
It would help.
they're gone.
I would hope so. I would think so.
And this is why the best in the business sits behind the glass.
Yep. But I'll tell you this. Indiana ain't losing to Purdue. I would be shocked.
Well, what about Tennessee losing to Vandy?
Yeah, but I'll tell you that I absolutely think that can happen. There is zero doubt in my mind.
Clemson losing to South
happen.
Carolina.
But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
And this will shock you. I'm going to have a very tough time. I will thoroughly enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I will take it. But if Tennessee and Alabama are in a comparison, and I don't know what the overall strength of schedule is, but we both have losses to Vandy.
We have a loss.
Tennessee's other loss would be at Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Ours would be at Oklahoma. Those are a wash. Tennessee beat us. Mm-hmm. So,
but nationally, I think the College Football Playoff Committee would rather have an Alabama in the 12-team playoff.
No doubt.
If they're trying to get a fourth team from the SEC, the eye test.
Don't be confused. I will giggle uncontrollably. If Tennessee's got 3 losses, we've got 3 losses, and I will just sit back and enjoy my popcorn while there is the wailing and gnashing of tooth up on Rocky Top. It will be
the one good one. Yeah.
You said that, not me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they will have a legitimate argument. Now, doesn't mean they're going to win the argument. Doesn't mean it'll change things. But I don't know that the committee, if you're the committee, do you want to do that year one? You're going to do a lot of damage to the argument that this is about something other than television eyeballs. If you were to pick 2 teams, similar resume, and one has a win over the other, but you're going to take the losing team. Again, I'm not trying to argue for Tennessee.
No, I know.
I'm just trying to figure out where they weigh this in the big picture of things. I hope they do. Lord, I hope they do. It'd be hysterical. I just will be surprised. Mississippi State comes in and does the unthinkable, wins at Ole Miss, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think there's any chance, but okay, maybe.
Gosh,
that's really that would help the cause.
And I texted you after Ole Miss lost, and I was like, "Oh, Lane." I think it was actually they were on their way to losing, and everyone's sitting there watching Jackson Dart throw 3 interceptions, and we're like, "Can you imagine?"
Yeah.
And then it's like,
then Bama does.
Fast forward to 5 hours later, and yeah. But all of this completely overshadows, for the most part, that this is Iron Bowl week.
It is.
I mean,
one more real quick. One more real quick before we go there.
Go ahead.
We need Texas to beat Texas A&M in College Station, because you don't need Texas A&M to jump in there as the league champion.
Yeah.
Take one of those. That would make it very easy for the conference, or for the committee of
the CFP.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah. They could decide they're going to get really cute and go Texas A&M, say South Carolina upsets Clemson. And
Which South Carolina's playing good football
Georgia.
right now.
Yeah. But you could put South Carolina as the 12, Georgia in, and those could be your 4. And suddenly, I mean, they don't feel nearly as bad about doing that. I may be dead wrong, but I don't think they feel as bad. Now, Iron Bowl.
Now,
Thank goodness. Let's
Iron
move
Bowl.
on.
Here we go.
Yeah,
No,
I hear we're playing it.
And the narrative took a quick turn late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, with Auburn and the big win. Again, a lot of people called this for Auburn. It took them almost an extra quarter or two to get it done. But now they come in to Tuscaloosa with a 2-game win streak under their belt. I think 2-game.
Yeah.
A&M,
They
La
did.
Monroe. I was
La
trying to think
Monroe.
who they played before La
They
Monroe.
played Vandy before that. Got beat.
Okay, so yeah, 2-game win streak. Got a little swagger.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama drops to 13, been knocked around a little, and well played on Jalen Milroe's part. He shrugged off a few jabs, as the Tigers pop off now. Does Alabama bounce back?
Yeah. I'm looking now at you played Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin, and Georgia, and won all of those. Then you lose at Vandy. Didn't look pretty, but came back, beat South Carolina. Lost at Tennessee. Came back, played really well, beating Missouri, LSU, and got the win with Mercer. Oklahoma, a loss. Point is, they've come back and played pretty well. I know we didn't think much of the South Carolina win at the time because we only won by 2 and they were driving and all that.
That is a team that has improved week
that's
by
a
week.
much better looking win. It's why they're talking about Alabama, because the Tide's wins are Georgia, South Carolina, LSU. They got others that aren't as impressive, but those are good wins. Those are impressive wins. And if you're able to get Auburn and other things fall, then it's understandable they'd be in the conversation. But you can't play like you did last week and expect to get any type of positive result in that game. I think Alabama will play well. I'll be shocked if they don't play well, disappointed. And it's again where I think Bama's best beats Auburn's best. But Auburn is playing with confidence. I would be nauseous if we're playing this game at Auburn, because I agree with Nick Saban, place is haunted. Mm-hmm. Being in Tuscaloosa, though, I feel much better. You never feel good because you know how bad you feel if you lose, so you can't feel overconfident. You're foolish. If you're overconfident, you're really foolish, or you're a freshman that hadn't played in this game. If you're going to go in overconfident, make a lot of statements like, I'll never lose this game while I'm here.
I've never lost in a rivalry game.
So you just can't be too confident in this. That being said, Alabama's got the better team, and I do expect Alabama to win. I think Alabama will play far better. Will they play as well as they did in the first half against Georgia? Will they play as well as they did for 4 quarters against LSU? I don't know, but I think they will play. I think they'll play plenty well enough, and I don't think motivation this week's an issue.
I know, but what pisses you off so much is last week, the motivation should have been there to go ahead, lock this down, get it done, and it wasn't there. And now this week, we're like,
I think the motivation was there. I don't think they handled early failure well at all. So it goes back to the early drive. I think there was too much they put on themselves.
They did, but and as a viewer, as a fan, you're going, well, where's the coaching staff when they need to ground them, when they need to be that secure, steady persona to get them playing again, to at halftime regroup them, recalibrate whatever vibe or unsteadiness is there.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I also, you know this, you've played sports. They're not robots. It's not a video game. You can try and push the right buttons. You can try and reel things in. I saw it with my own eyes working the sidelines for years. There were times where guys lost their minds.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where guys fought literally right in front of Nick Saban. Okay? That doesn't diminish what Nick Saban's resume was, what the respect level for him should be. It's simply saying no matter how good you are, bad things are eventually going to happen. How do you deal with them? And sometimes you don't get it fixed within a game. Sometimes you don't get it fixed within a season. But can you get it fixed? And I really believe Kalen DeBoer is going to get things fixed. They didn't get fixed in the game against Oklahoma. They may not be fixed in time. There's no guarantee against Auburn. But as this thing moves forward, I still believe very, very strongly they got the right guy in charge, and they're going to get the result that we all want that care about Alabama.
Okay, well, we're not ready to start calling them a basketball school just yet, but they can be both at the same time.
Can we just be a championship school?
Yeah, at the same time.
That's Nate Oats' bad impression.
Great win last night. Again, took overtime, but Alabama won 2 of 3 against 3 straight ranked opponents at this point. 74 free throws last night. So if you enjoy free throws,
look,
that was your game.
When you play Houston,
oh, it's physical.
You could shoot 100.
It's a physical.
And Alabama's approach is we want free throws, layups, or threes. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks that it's, we're going to jack up a bunch of threes. No. You sign kids that can shoot the three well. You work extremely hard on the three. But the objective is get to the rim or get to the free throw line or kick it out for a three. It's not shoot a three, hope you get a rebound and go to the line, even though that
no, but last night it was a great example of what Nate Oats needs. Not only does he have depth, he has experienced depth. And in a game that's physical like it was last night, you're able to bring in a new line when you need to.
You can.
To be able to bring those guys in.
And look, it's huge, no pun intended, having Clifford Amore. It's huge having Grant Nelson play his natural position and have him
5 guys in double figures
last night. As big as he was. It's huge having Mark Sears do what he did. But Muhammad Diabate,
I was going to say big
had the rebound of the game. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you,
he had 16 Rodmans last night.
Championship teams always have a Mo Diabate type guy who ain't going to beat you off the dribble, who ain't going to beat you offensively, but will get you a rebound or a loose ball or make a play on defense when you've got to have it. A guy who doesn't care about numbers necessarily on the offensive end. He wants to get every loose ball he can find. Well, he was massive in the Sweet 16 game. I forgot which it was, Sweet 16 or Elite 8 last year. He was huge last night. He is a kid that, for all these others that we know are stars and can score a ton of points, he's not going to score a ton, but what he does affects winning and losing so very much. And he was the difference maker in that game the other night. Well,
as someone who played the low post, Alabama out-rebounded Houston last night 48-39, and that included 20 offensive boards. I love when people are in there putting a butt on somebody, boxing out, rebounding. That is just that. And again, against a physical team like Houston, be able to get in there. But great win last night. Alabama's now 5-1, and they have Rutgers tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, 9 p.m. Central. So. Out of curiosity, and I don't even know if you know this answer, since this is a Las Vegas game and it is one where these players have some skin in the game, there's going to be a bit of a payout.
Yeah.
Do we know what kind of money each player would get, or is it to the team and they decide?
I don't know the actual number. Okay. I know that there was talk initially when I first heard, in essence, what you're describing,
prize money.
that was going to be $1 million game to the winner. I haven't heard that since. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard that recently. I may have just missed it. But I feel like if it was $1 million, you would have heard that in the promotional part of this over and over and over again to get eyeballs there. But I'm not sure what is. I think it gives me an even greater appreciation for what Nate Oats does, because even though, there may be money on the line, truthfully, for the winner, I didn't see any extra effort from them because of that. I saw what I normally see from a Nate Oats coach team. They go about their business as if a loose ball means saving somebody's life. And that's a really cool thing. That's the concern I think we all have, whether you're talking about NIL, whether you're talking about the portal, anything that involves the money aspect of it. Are we going to lose our game? Are we going to lose our desire to win from the players, or is it all about money? And I think Nate has shown that you can do both. He has shown them that winning, taking care of business is going to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish financially.
Yep. 5 guys last night, all in double figures. Mark Sears led the way with 24 points, so good to see him back in action. And, of course, doing what Mark Sears does.
Did he make some big shots?
If you're looking for more of Chris Stewart, and who isn't, you can always find him at chrisstewart.online, and you can always listen for him, too. Auburn traveling to Tuscaloosa for the game this weekend, 2:30 on ABC, which means that the Crimson Tide Sports Network takes the air at 11:30.
Good question.
I keep kicking this thing down.
That's all right.
Shoot.
No,
sounds like
don't
we're
make me
ringing
do
a
math.
cowbell. 11:30?
1:30, 12:30, 11:30. Yep.
11:30?
11:30 start.
11:30 start. So look forward to listening, watching.
Looking forward to being there. Bundling up, be ready, but excited about it. I am.
It always proves to be entertaining.
Does
And
indeed.
I was going to say that one year that it was in Tuscaloosa when
Don't.
Auburn kicked 3 field goals to win 9-0. And I remember, this is when I worked for ABC 3340. I was leaving the station, and James Spann, I said, hey, what's the weather going to be like? He's like, probably won't start raining till about the 4th quarter. It started raining before the game started.
Yeah.
And then we had sleet, I think, coming down by the time the game ended. And
That was the one where DeBose had already been fired, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was also when, if I'm not mistaken, either Arkansas won or lost, and that sent Auburn to the SEC championship that year. But I then remember walking back into the station, and I saw James, and I looked like a drowned frozen rat. And all I said was, your forecast was slightly off today.
Slightly off today.
But
Proof that he doesn't control it. He's the best.
He is.
He's among the best
And he's-
ever at predicting it,
And he's
but
as nice.
he doesn't control it.
He's as nice as a guy as you're ever going to meet, too. Very genuine. But yes. Okay, so we need to thank that handsome devil back there behind the board, behind the glass, Scott Forrester, from your 2 favorite turkeys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble.
Thank you, Scott
Gobble.
Forrester, for always
Gobble.
putting up with us for the
And Roll
most
Tide.
part.
You're going to ask for it. So there you go. False start.
Well, okay, I was going to have a good build-up to it, but okay. I'm Kelly Hunter. This is Chris Stewart. And
Roll Tide again, and happy Thanksgiving, dang it.
happy Thanksgiving. We'll see y'all next week. Take care.